Well, well, well. What have we here? Today we're continuing our journey through the Italian Alps, looking at the Austrian fortifications constructed before World War I, especially this one, which is truly amazing. Along the route to defend the Alpine passes, which led to what became the Isonzo front during World War I, 6 massive Panzer forts were constructed by the Austro-Hungarians. We have visited Fort Hermann, Klause, and today we will visit the third fort, Fort Hensel. It was constructed on the site of an older fort, which had earlier seen Napoleon's army fight their way past it and through it in 1809 on their way to Fort Pradell, which I showed you earlier. One of the most important fortresses of the Austro-Hungarian defense system was this, Fort Hensel. It was built on a ridge, originally in 1809. The construction was designed by the engineer Captain Friedrich Hensel on May 15, 1809. While the French troops moved up Freilich Forest to the north, the two armies met here and the fort was occupied eventually after a bitter fight by the French soldiers. For 2 years they held this location. After the Napoleonic Wars had ended, a new fort construction was begun in the middle of the 19th century, and later in 1884 the fort was renovated, modernized, and converted into an important fortress which could accommodate 18 cannon, firing at a 360-degree defense. It was named Fort Hensel in honor of its founder, who died in May 1809, defending the fortress, fighting in Napoleon's armies, along with nearly the entire garrison at the time, who were also killed with the captain. The fort was of strategic importance to the Austrians. Not only defended the passage to Carinthia, it also protected the railway line to Tarvisio Trebitz-Tarvis, which proved to be very important during World War I. And now it was modernized. After the outbreak of World War I, it had a complement of 21 officers and 567 soldiers here at the fort. The fort consisted of 2 buildings that stood at a distance of 50 meters from each other. The first, a little further up, housed the barracks, 2 batteries of howitzers, and 2-story bastions with 4 guns, while the second consisted of 2 towers, which were connected by a battery with a total of 8 guns. Well armed, and with light artillery as well, Fort Hensel became one of the main targets for the Italian artillery set up along the border at that time, not that far. In the summer of 1915, more than 2,000 heavy-caliber shells were fired on the fortress alone, and throughout the entire war, more than 4,500. However, the Austrians knew already that the fort was obsolete, and from the very outbreak of the war, they had begun to remove the guns one by one, with the last one finally removed by March 1916. That still, of course, did not deter the Italians from shelling it, as you can clearly see today. But that was not the end of this fort, although you have to look a lot closer to see what came next, because it is just a little amazing and really innovative.
Beyond the valley, down there, is the Italian fort, the Little River, and here we're now getting to the Austrian fort, Fort Hensel. There's been a fort here since the Napoleonic era wars. Here is one of the firing positions. So now we get to see, you see the little dolly there? That was for the string that would lower the camouflage, just in case the Italians had noticed that you were building a fort right here. next tiny weeny little pillbox here next to the fort. It's actually, I'm wondering, yeah, this was just a little pillbox here. Little observation post out, make it so they could almost see the Italians just on the other side of that ridge where the road now runs. Here's the next gun position. What it looks like. This is what it looks like without. These are massive. They're not much different than the way the Italians built them. The string is still there for the crab trap door. And you can see again here, this is all fabricated. This is not actually rock. This is fabricated for camouflage. Very neat. And if you look inside these firing ports, this is so interesting because I see all this cement refurbishment here. I know they did this after the fort was destroyed. See, there's cracks everywhere else, trees growing out of it. But here, these three, facing Italy? I guess everything is Italy, but never mind. Just look at how big this thing is. Here's a full of shell fire, shell holes, damage, battle damage. That is definitely a battle impact. Oh yeah.
I already see the fort and it looks interesting. Yes, it does. This is so weird talking, but Tino told me to talk, so I'm talking and there are some people. So, because I'm very antisocial, I will just wait for the Tino to come and rescue me.
Blown up it was. We're actually going in through the window, I think. This looks like a covered entrance. They actually have a little steel still placed there. Lots of holes and shrapnel. Alright. You see the firing positions. And you see all the levels. This really had seen better days, hasn't it? I wonder if this is where the steel domes were. We are about to find out. Oh, son of a bitch. I didn't even record. This would have been a window. Would have been an armored fort with steel domes, and I'm sure there were steel domes, not stone. This really was tore up well. Let's see if we can make our way inside and see. Firing port's still open. Firing ports are still clad with steel. Wow, this poor thing really did get beat up, didn't it? I actually thought this was in better shape. But it's very interesting that this is built similar to some of the Austrian forts of Hermann. What a beating this thing has taken. This is completely torn up. There's not even steel in place there. Or here, actually. There's no steel in place. This is rather hard to navigate. But beautiful it is. Look at the arched walkway there. Or beautiful it was. Huge stones. This was clearly a fort built before World War I, and then things happened to it. It's really interesting, with the wind sort of still blowing through. This is clearly a ruin, and it sort of feels that way too. That may sound strange, but if you were here, you know what I mean. Nice arches, firing positions, all directions leading down to the valley. And I'm standing on, it's very interesting, what I'm standing on looks like a cylinder or very, very arched roof. It just feels strange. It feels like it shouldn't be there. But here we are. I don't know if this is the Caponnier of Hensel, but you can cover the whole valley out here in fire. You can see everything down here. Well, of course the trees are not exactly where they would have been at the time, but there's no more steel plates there. And then there's this, which is the ceiling, vaulted ceiling. Why is this arched like this? This makes no sense. I mean, there have to be a floor. This was a fighting position. There would have to have been a flat floor. Not like this. Only way to find out is to go downstairs and take a look. So you come down here, and there's a bunker, there's a pillbox inside here. Look at this. There's a pillbox. They built this. I'm almost going out on a limb and saying this is World War II. That's trying not to stab myself in the trees and stuff around here, but what is this for? Huge, thick pillbox inside. this would be a perfect observation post because the fort is completely ruined. So you build a sacred, quiet little ops post in here, and you stick a couple of dudes in here like they did in cemeteries in France. I really do wonder if this is where the steel domes were that were clearly destroyed. Going through this is just very, very gently. Everything is collapsing. And you see the floors, the layers here. All the hooks in the ceiling, they must have been for beds for the men. Wow. And then you have a little bit of cement there again. Clearly that is cement, that's not the stone that you see elsewhere. But this, I'm curious about. What is this thing? Guess there's only one way of finding out. I'm crawling into the bunker underneath you. Famous last words. Wow, my stick won't even carry me. This is a cement wall. That's all that is. A cement wall. Here to the right. But there's steel beams in the floor here. Or the ceiling, as it is. And here's more cement. What have we here? Somebody refurbished this fort. This is the arch. That's why. This is new. That's why the dome floor, the original floor, was destroyed. And they built this. Probably somewhat reinforced. And I'm seeing some cement pillars here. You can just see out in the whole country from here, and this is reinforced. Well, it's not, I don't know if it's reinforced, but it certainly is. Look at how thick the cement is here. This is far safer in a room.
I know they did this after the fort was destroyed.
Now, it really got my attention, and I really wanted to know how and when and why a reinforced little pillbox like this would be constructed into an old fort ruin like this. It's actually really brilliant. Great observation post in a ruin, although it may still attract a shell here and there. But it was nothing compared to what we were about to discover.
In a ruined fort, and if you look above, here's steel floor. They built a little pillbox inside the original fort. That was a ruin since World War I. So the question is, did they build this during World War II? Leading up to? I mean, why would? I've never seen Hitler build fortifications against Italy. That was something Italians did from 1934. They built fortifications facing Austria and, of course, France. But since, you're allies one day, you're enemies the next, it's not impossible that Hitler would have tossed up a couple of pillboxes here and there, just in case the dear Mussolini ended up, well, I was going to say losing his head, which he didn't do technically, but he lost power, and then all of a sudden anti-German people were in charge in Italy. They built this. They built a little pillbox inside the broken fort. They built a little pillbox inside the old destroyed fortress. That is exactly what they did. Now, if they did for World War II, it's interesting, but certainly reinforced it is and strongly built it is. The whole fort could come down on top of this pillbox and it would still be in one piece. That is amazing. What could be a better place to hide than something everybody's already written off as combat incapable? Brilliant. Alright, now I'm going to try to stagger my way out and see what this looks like from the outside. It's nice of them to put a little fence on here, but if you look at this here, if you look at this cover here, it almost makes sense that there would have been fortified position there. Although this is very old school, very hard to tell. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's look at how destroyed this thing is. Wonder if the steel domes were up here or they were somewhere else. 3 floors I can count at least. And then there's, I don't know where the tunnels are. Maybe around here. Oh wow. Here was probably what's left of a tunnel or an entrance. It could have been a caponnier. This is so destroyed it's almost impossible to see what was here. And here are pieces, battlements, entrance to a tunnel here. We'll get in there. Oh, definitely got to get in there. I wonder if this fort was not connected at one point. It almost must have been. Here is a round. It looks like one of the domes were here. Certainly here's a round ops post or something. But there's no way to go from here. So this would actually have been the actual entrance to it, right here. It does look like this was connected in one at some point. Although this path says this is where the soldiers went up to the battle, but I'm not sure. Maybe the forts are separated. But this is not a close defensive position. This is an actual firing port. So a protective wall. There would have been a little house here, looks like. Ceiling.
I have always told you that strategic locations are such because of the locations given the terrain. Thus, just because we move along to a new war, new equipment, that fact remains. And in the 1930s, the Italians began to carve a fortress into the mountain right behind the old fort here.
Okay, let's go knock on the door, see if anybody's home. Hensel? Well, what have we here? Better not be an armored bathroom. Oh, this is not moving. What is in there? Looks like an armored bathroom, but these are not the bathrooms. Well, all right then. So, I would imagine, very much so, that this is running down to the firing positions deep in the rock here. This is safe, definitely safe, if not slightly wet. I don't think anybody would be doing anything here except moving from one location to the next, this being the next. And I recognize this door. This door is Cold War NATO. Although that lamp is original. Okie dokie. Well, ain't this just interesting? Wow. Yep, this was used by the Italians during the Cold War. After. But this gives you an idea what was constructed before the Cold War. I think we're back to the Italians again. We're definitely back to Cold War. See, I had no idea the Italians used this after the Second World War, but they most certainly did. And if you had any doubts as to that particular claim, well, then that should satisfy your doubt. Very interesting. Not at all what I had expected. Engine room. So here's the question. Was this excavated for the Second World War, the First World War, or the Cold War? I have no information about it. I had no idea that this had been picked up by the Italians for use. I thought Hensel was just a ruin from the First World War. But this is clearly NATO Italy. This looks like this would have been a barrack area, judging for how the Italians did things. And look at all the cabling that's just covering the place. Have these little storage rooms. And this was infirmary, actually. Wow. I did not expect this. I expected a ruin. Might have been ruined, but they certainly cleaned it up. So this is the other end of the parallel hallway. So, oh well, ain't that just lovely? Oh, bloody hell. Well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I'm not hearing rust creaking or anything, so I'm upstairs. Jesus. I mean, it's not a bad position. Huh. That door looks a little bit more original. I see daylight. To the roof. Wow, what the hell? An artillery position up there, I'm sure. This is just naked rock, though.
In some years after the Second World War, when Italy had joined NATO in 1949 and the threat to the east became clear, the Italian army began to repurpose these tunnels, this fortress, for NATO, rearming it with newer NATO weapons, anti-tank guns, machine guns.
Nicely disguised. And then bricked up firing position here. Well, not that bricked up. Wow. Of course, this should, in my estimation, be facing Austria. Yes. Almost look like there's trenches out here too. Oh, there's another one over here. Top of the hill. Who would notice that thing? Did not expect to see any of this. I know, because it's, well, pretty much identical and with no restrictions. That too. So up here, up the stairs, after all this trouble, there's nothing. There's a little peephole that we saw from the outside. That's it. Which is not really much. It's more of a peephole than a firing position. But I would imagine there was once something else here. They wouldn't have built all of this cemented platform
just for a little peephole like that. At least that's what I'm going with. This door does not look Cold War. It looks like an older door for some reason. Of course, I could be wrong. This is just really, really interesting how this is. Another direction, right? Yep. We came from that way, so then there's this way. The little camera's dead again, just after a couple hours. So from the staircase into the parallel hallway, that is of course zigzagging, which is awesome, down to whatever this is. Back to this. Bathroom. Better be. No? Nope. Boy, that is special. There's the staircase leading up. So there's a staircase leading up there. Oh, this is a storage room or... Okay, so I guess up the stairs. Oh, son of a donkey goat. Well, it looks solid enough, I guess. Yeah, well. Oh, bloody hell. You must be kidding me.
There's no way.
Yep. There's way. Oh, son of a donkey. You must be joking. All right. Oh, it's the observation dome. This is why I have that rifle sling, so I can sling my camera over my shoulder. I don't have to do the fucking crab walk. Shit. And up the staircase is the observation post up here.
Can I come without covering?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for munition, this is a firing position. Lighting. Oh. Ventilation for the gas masks the gunners would wear. This is the crank for the that's the crank for the camouflage plate outside that they would hoist up. And here's the firing position itself. This is where they plug in the gas masks. They would actually, instead of ventilating the compartment, the Italians would
were gas masks, which is somewhat different, I would say. And you see the road down there. Definitely, you can definitely cover that road right there. Right now, the road has been covered by spiders. And that's for the ventilation. Could vent overpressure. What a cool place. All right. Say hi to all the spiders inside.
What?
Say hi to all the spiders inside. I'm assuming there's spiders in there. This is cool. This is really neat. And still have the pulley for the plate. Just a little crime. Nothing have changed here since World War I. I'm pretty sure these lamps, still their attachments look like they're World War II. Nothing has really changed much. I don't think this is Cold War. That's not the type the Italians would have used some of the American doors that was used throughout NATO blast proof. He'll climb up and down. Piece of cake. Well, yeah, they live here. Can't really blame them. They were here first. They're going to talk about us when we leave. It's like, Fred, did you see that? Who the hell was that? Oh, that was the idiot from Lost Battlefields. Oh, yeah. Who's the chick? I don't know. I forgot we have 8,000 stairs. It's not so bad. This is not so bad. It's just surprising. And it's really interesting that they countered them. One staircase going one way, the other staircases go the other way. It's amazing. This must have been built by the Germans, then refurbished by the Italians for the Cold War.
However, since this photo from 1916 clearly shows deep and long tunnel systems inside the mountain, which also would have run all the way up to the top where the other part of the fort was, it's entirely possible that these tunnels existed from before that and was only enlarged for World War II and beyond.
Which is exactly what must have happened. Now I'm just wondering if there's an out down this way. Come on, bathrooms. Of course, if the Germans didn't build these with bathrooms in mind, these were munition stores, if they didn't build them with that type of plumbing in mind, but they must have done. German World War I bathrooms, French, Italian, Russian, they're all the same. So there's almost no reason to think that they wouldn't have. This continues. They just keep going.
fantastic place. Bloody hell. This must get us down to the gun positions we passed on the way. It simply must. Wow. Yeah, here's the gun positions. Here's the ventilation. So there's one gun here. The ventilation for it. There's parts of it sitting there. Wow. This is so interesting how the Italians were planning on defending this. Although during the time of NATO, my question is, who exactly were they planning on defending this against? Here's the crank for the camouflaged hats outside. Here's the firing position. Telephone. And the large spider is currently covering the position. Nice big spider in there, ready to defend. So this is firing position number 2. So down here, I don't know what I'll see. I would imagine this would have been a ventilation room. It's clogged up, but this is ventilation. An ammunition store. These attachments look so much like they could easily be World War II. What did you find down there? Nothing?
I was not in the room.
So further down, we have to get to the firing position we came by on the way. Amazing how this is. Well, certainly, here's one firing position, reserve ventilation for the crew, and this just, whoa, keeps going down. Wow. This is huge. And that goes up, so I'm going to take the middle road, just for the heck of it. Wow, this continues. There have to be a firing position at the end of each one of these. And I keep thinking there might be an out as well. Whoa, this just doesn't end. So here's the firing position. And you see once the doors are still in place out there. Cable cranks were broken. No, it's fine. So another one down here, maybe. And now there's a very little peephole. So what the hell goes down the stairs and what goes up the stairs? I would like to have had some sort of warning that this is what we're going to see. Just any kind of warning, you know, phone call from the ambassador or something. This is where we came from. Long time ago. So, firing position, most likely this just keeps going. And on the other side, let's take the one down. I don't know why. This just doesn't end. I mean, I'm kind of hoping it's going to end with a way out, because no one's going to serve lunch in here. But this was a very large place. And again, I really would like to know if this was built during World War I or World War II or Cold War alone. Oh, bloody hell.
This was one of the very few times that I actually began to get lost. And luckily, Magda had paid attention while I was busy filming and got us back on track and actually out.
You people you didn't save on the staircases, did you? There's just a staircase fetish going on in Italy at this time. Oh God, there's another one. Seriously? This is just not for kids. At least we got 2 firing positions down here. This is crazy. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't even know which one to pick. This is amazing. This is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so here we have, and look at what we have here. Here is a steel plate. Here is a Panzerplatte. And this is a thick one. So, what? There's a round mount right there. Look at the round mount for a screw almost. Heavy steel plate. That's not like the other firing positions. Something much heavier was mounted here. And this is the first position we saw outside on the way up here. Lots of cables still in place. The modern ventilation for the Italian gun crews with the oxygen masks. And then regular ventilation. Awesome. Okay. So I'm guessing the other one is the other one. Please let there be a way out. Oh, hon, let me go through first. Since you're not filming it anyway, as you should be doing, because I need to do an episode with your camera as well. Remember? Fortunately, there's food in the car. And fortunately, there's also energy drinks there. So this will be number 2 position. And it is. Again, heavy steel plate. And here, for the cable of the winch, that will roll up the camouflage door outside. Well, actually, there's 2. There's one for each. Very, very neat. Very, very neat. Ventilation. All right. I had never expected this was going to be here. All right, Pumpkin. Let's get out of here and find some food.
Yes, yes.
One of the things that truly pains me about this really amazing place is that I didn't quite understand the full scope of the layout when I was here. There are several more parts to this fortress up the mountains all the way up to the top, and we absolutely have to come back and see these, because this is something I've rarely seen before, and I'm also curious to see if the Italians made use of these for observation or other for World War II or for the Cold War. So we are coming back. But next time we talk about Alpine fortresses, we're actually going to talk to somebody who knows exactly what these were, how they functioned, what they were armed with. So stand by, much more to come. My name is Tino Struckmann. I run Lost Battlefields. Every year I travel around the world to try to bring you to all the most interesting historical military locations from modern wars and the World War II special projects, battlefields, forts, fortresses, and tunnels, everything else. Things you may not be able to see or go to yourselves. Please join me on Patreon or join Lost Battlefields through the website so you get access to all my files and my notes. It really does help, and like, follow, share here on the channel if you can. That helps too.